Hey sportsmen, John Bergsman here with the Fisherman's Digest. We got some new Hot Bites fishing reports for you. Stay tuned. So we're going to start way over in Lorain to Cleveland, over on Lake Erie. And we've got the big fall brawl coming up. So the deadline to register for that is October 15. That's coming up. We're going to come back up on this side of the state, and we're going to talk about from Holland all the way up to Frankfurt. We're going to talk about beach trolling. You know, we had a really successful show last year about beach trolling out of Manistee. A lot of people watched that show, and apparently it got a lot of interest because a lot of comments to me of, geez, I'd never thought about doing that. We're going to talk about beach trolling here today. Then we're going to jump back over up to Burt and Mullet Lake. Now Burt and Mullet Lake, October is on fire up there for a combination of walleye and smallmouth bass fishing. Then we're going to go over the bridge all the way over to the western UP. We're going to talk about Lake Superior in the early fall like this, beach trolling on the rocks for big mixed bag fish that are coming in to feed and get all ready for the winter. Stay tuned. This is going to be 4 action-packed, really informative things here on Hot Bites. So hey, we're going to start today in Lorain, Ohio, and we talked about the fall brawl and Brian Zaremski down at Erie Marine Sales. Now they're over by the Lorain area, and they are in charge of the fall brawl. They've actually started the whole thing. And the fishing right now over from the Lake Erie Shores and Islands region and Port Clinton-ish all the way over to east of Cleveland and Fairport Harbor has been lights out. Fish are all over the place. This is not hard. So we're going to do a couple reports in the next month on this to keep you stocked up. But my friend Gary Zart, Nicholas Zart from Blue Dolphin Walleye Charters, right now they're in Fairport Harbor, but it won't be long. They'll be bringing their boat back into Lorain, and they'll stay in Lorain probably for the rest of the season, for the whole fall brawl season. And what the fall brawl is basically a great big everyday guy fishing tournament. You pay like 30 or 35 bucks. First prize, $100,000. That's right, 100 grand. So check in, Google Fall Brawl, and it'll give you the link to sign up. That'll get you all signed up, and there's a couple of real unique rules. One of them is that everybody in your boat has to be signed up for the Fall Brawl. You can't just have you signed up and 3 other guys that aren't. If you do that, the fish you catch don't count. So make sure you get your buddies. If you're planning on going for a couple of fall excursions down from the Erie Shores and Islands region all the way to Cleveland to fish in that Fall Brawl to see if you can get lucky, I'd say go ahead and do it. I'm going to be down there for a couple of weekends taking friends out that are signed up. It's only, like I say, 30 or 40 bucks, so it's well worth your time to get into that tournament. But just make sure everybody in your boat is signed up so that your fish count if you catch that big one. So the bite has been silly. 40 to 50 feet of water. You can catch them a lot of different ways. The most consistent way I've heard of people catching them right now is just by straight line and bandits. A lot of different colors. It's just based on light penetration and the color of the day, whether it's a bright sunny day or a fall day. Bright sunny, go brights, chromes, and things like that. And if you get one of these dingy days like we've got today here, then you can go ahead and do more fluorescence, more non-shiny baits. 80 to 120 back with no weight seems to be catching a lot of fish. If you wanted to shorten it up for your inside board so you didn't risk any tangles, you could do a 40-40 2 ounce. That means 40 foot, then 2 ounces, and then another 40 foot. That'll get you about the same distance as 140 back free line in a bandit. So those are 2 really good sets that are catching a lot of fish. The fish have been averaging about 3.5 to 5 pounds, really nice average size fish. So get yourself some plans, get a group of guys together, visit the Fall Brawl, Google it, sign up, get down there to the Lake Erie Shores and Islands all the way to Cleveland area. Hope you get lucky, and we'll see you.
This is our TH100V, brand newly introduced for 2020. This is our most popular. We've got a tool holder caddy. Everybody's famous, that we're pretty famous for going into our tracks that a lot of guys have bought over all the years. And so as more boats start getting a lot more other gear in their tracks, we've had a lot of clients ask us for taking and putting a tool holder caddy on the side of our vertical tree, just because our tree offers so many options of use of things that we can do with it with all of our accessories. So this is a TH100V, holds our pliers in here, hang our baits in the holes, screwdriver in here, same thing. It's attached on here with 2 stainless steel screws. We can adjust it up and down this post wherever we want it to go. TH100V.
So we're going to come back up here to the west side of the state from Holland all the way to Frankfurt, and you've got all these major port towns. Holland and Kalamazoo River actually too, you could throw into that group, with all the major rivers that dump in, the Muskegon River, the Pere Marquette River, the Manistee River, the Betsy River. All these major rivers are drawing big steelhead in right now that are setting up and staging outside the pier heads, getting ready to come up behind the king salmon run that is kind of on the backside now. There's still some kings in the river for sure, and they're still trying to finish up spawning, but about a week or so from now that should be all totally done. And the second that's done, those steelhead will start flushing up the river, and they'll start feeding on the salmon eggs, and they'll stay in the rivers all winter long until spring, when they spawn and dump back out of the rivers. But they stage right now. For this next month, you're going to have really good steelhead action in shallow water. I'm talking, depending on wind direction, is close to as 100, 200 yards from shore, 20, 25 feet of water, out to about 60 foot is a good depth range to target. A couple of tips for that. Now, you're going to get steelhead, you're going to get coho, you're going to get juvenile kings, and you're going to get lakers in this band of water. And what you're really looking for is some dinge, some color to the water. So if you have a river mouth, you're going to want to fish on the downwind side of it. So if the wind's blowing from the northwest and pushing the flow of that river down to south of the river mouth, that south area of the pier heads is what's going to hold the fish, because it has the color. You get what I mean? That colored water, that discolored water, is where those fish will hold and hide. And if you get really too clean of water, it's really better to just literally go find yourself some colored water. But you'll get the hang of it. It's not that hard. One of the things you have to also pay attention to is around the top sides and bottom sides of every single pier head is going to have fish. If you stay within a half a mile of pier heads, those steelhead are going to be in that general area. So how are you catching them? You're catching flat lines with Rapalas, just regular old jointed number 9s or 11 Rapalas. Fire Tiger's really good. Golden Orange is really good. You could throw a short line spoon out there with one color of lead, so 25, 30 foot of 20-pound fluorocarbon with like an orange or gold spoon, you know, a Dreamweaver Super Slim or something like that, or the Magnum spoon would also be a good one, and just short line it on one color of lead. Another thing that works really good right now is the Captain's Choice body baits. If you run a body bait on a flat line behind a board, that's really good for catching a lot of steelhead. You know, glows work good, glow green, glow black, there's a lot, glow splash. A lot of those types of baits are going to work really good. And the key to that is to not get them too deep. You're only going to want them running back maybe, you know, so they're running 7, 8 feet below the surface. Even over 25 foot of water, those fish are coming up for it. So sets of flat lines, 1 color, 2 color, at most 3 color, cruising along 2.3 to 2.5, 2.7 in that shallow water, pretty close to pier heads, in and around pier heads, and in dirty water that are in and around creek mouths that are dumping into the lake. That's beach trolling in a nutshell. We've got a show on YouTube you can watch where Captain Phil Settlemeyer from Manistee and I went out. You should be able to watch that show and learn a little bit about that too. That was the Manistee episode from last year, so get on YouTube, check that out. But that's beach trolling, and we'll keep you abreast on how it's going throughout the year. Hey, are you in the market for a small outdoor shed, carport, or small storage building? Visit my friends up at Midwest Steel Carports. They'll travel anywhere in the Lower Peninsula to install your shed or carport for you. Visit them online at MidwestSteelCarports.com. So we're talking northern Michigan lakes, and right now the month of October, we're here early October, you know, but this is going to go for another month. The whole month of October is lights out for Burt Lake and Mullet Lake, Black Lake, lakes like that are really just chock full of big smallmouth bass and walleye, and they're cohabitating together in that same zone right now where guys are catching them at the same time. Depending on what bait you're throwing, you can catch them both, or you can just target smallies. Let's talk about walleyes for a minute. Captain Brian Beist from 2B Caught Charters guides on both of these lakes and can take you out for a great experience. Get a hold of Brian. He's a glide bait specialist. He's going to be pitching the wrap style bait, that snap wrapping and glide baits. This is a new rage that's been around for 3-4 years, but I'm telling you what, if you've never thrown glide baits, this is the time of the year that glide baits really take over and really do a great job. This cold water period where you can really pinpoint cast. You work them from the tops of breaks and down the breaks all the way to the bottom. You're looking for sand and gravel. You don't want a lot of weeds. This is kind of a clean bottom type presentation, but sand and gravel are what walleyes like, so that's not such a bad thing. So you're pitching these, you're working the tops of breaks, bottoms of breaks. You're also working gravel bars and humps that are scattered all over the north end of Mullet Lake and in random places around Burt Lake. Another way you can present these glide baits is snap jigging deep water. So you're going to get out and like just off the state park boat ramp, for example, there's that 32, 34, all the way out to 40 foot of water. You'll see a lot of marks hugging tight to the bottom there. That's a great place to slow drift and rip glide baits. You're going to just really slowly drift and just rip them off the bottom, drop them back, keep them, move them, and you know what? It'll surprise you, but you'll hook a lot of fish, you'll catch a lot of them. What'll surprise you most is you're not snagging them. They're actually hitting these baits. They're pinning them to the bottom, they're hitting them on the fall. They really like glide baits. Burt and Mullet are two of the best lakes to pitch these because they have so much sand, so much gravel, and the weeds that are there are real predictable and confined, so you can pick spots to fish these where there are not weeds. Now, if you're talking about smallmouth bass in these two lakes, I'm going to say it's going to be real traditional. You're going to be either throwing drop shots, you're going to be throwing Alabama rigs, or you're going to be throwing heavy swim baits that you're letting sink all the way to the bottom, snapping them once and just doing a real slow roll. You're just really slow in bringing these things in. You're going to want to pick bigger size baits, Strike King 375s, you know, big bulky baits that you can really work slowly that have a good thump on the tail. That's a really effective way to catch them. Alabama rigs with Strike King 275s or 325s on them are really good. Same thing, long casting them, letting them sink all the way to the bottom, giving them one good rip, and then just slow rolling that A-rig in. A-rigs over deep water flats can be absolutely lights out. And then a drop shot for more finicky fish. But smallmouth bass, walleye, right now, Burt and Mullet. Are you in the market for a new trailer? For all your trailer needs, big or small, visit Beck's Trailer Superstore on Highway 127, north of St. John's. So now we're going to slide all the way over the bridge, all the way to the western UP. Now, typically guys go to the western UP at this time of year to go to Lake Ogeebic, and you know what? That's a great choice. But I'm going to tell you a different bite that's available at this time of the year that you might not know about. Now, this spring show, if you go back on our YouTube to this early episode, the very first episode of the year, we took you beach trolling on rock out of Ontonagon and working that whole northern shore of the UP there in the western UP. Now, this fall, I'm going to head back there. In fact, I'm on my way there right now to shoot another show on late fall. That's right, late fall in that same general area. And what's crazy is that same piece of shoreline, that same 40-mile piece of shoreline, all the way to the Wisconsin border, is going to hold all kinds of really good fish right now. A mixed bag of lake trout, coho, juvenile kings, and most importantly for me, brown trout. I love brown trout, and those things go crazy when you hook them. Good size fish, 4 and 5 and 6 pound brown trout, some really nice Lakers, cold weather Lakers, which as you know taste great. So we're looking forward to that. But right now, don't ignore the Lake Superior shoreline, because the same fish that come in our beach trolling on the west side of Michigan are also coming in really tight to shore on that northern shore of the UP, all along there. So we're going to be giving you another good hard report in a couple of weeks. But right now, if you're in that Black River area, Ontonagon, over by Silver City, in the western UP, right there by the beautiful not Copper Harbor, what's it called? Porcupine Mountains. That basic area of that shoreline is what I'm talking about. So, how are they doing it? Same way as beach troll. Flatlining with jointed baits. Pulling small spoon, super slims or something, pretty quick, 2.3, 2.5 on either flat lines or 1 or 2 colors of lead. Same depth zone, about 20 to 50 feet of water. And you're really not picking out anything other than the fact that you're hoping for a south wind. When you get that south wind pushing off of land, it sucks those fish right tight to shore, pushes the surface water away, pulls those bottom fish right tight to shore. A south wind is by far the best wind for this. So, western upper peninsula, and you know what? If you try that for a day, you can't figure it out, come back and watch our show here in a couple of weeks. I'll give you an update on how we did, but also just run over to Tim over at the Timbers Resort, grab a cabin you can jump on Gogebic and catch walleye, perch, and big northern pike here for the fall bite in the western upper peninsula. You know, we love it when our guides and our resort owners give us this great information and we pass it on to you. We hope you're using it. We hope you're going out and really, taking advantage of this great fishing. Hey, the new show is on. We mentioned that last week. It's on WOTV out of Grand Rapids. It's on Fox 32 out of Traverse City. It's on Fox 6 out of Marquette. Check your local listings for your time. It's either Saturday morning or Sunday morning in those two regions. Check the channel guide. But hey, we're here bringing you great relevant fishing and up-to-date fishing reports on the Fisherman's Digest. So check us out on those local network affiliates. Until next week, we'll see you.